Shakyia was 26 and weighed 655 pounds. At the start of her weight loss journey, she lived with her mother, stepfather, sister, and her 3 nephews. Shakya's mother raised her and her siblings as a single parent. Then, because she would leave them alone while she would work 3 jobs, the children were put into the foster care system.
My mom was a single mom, and providing for us was a struggle. When we was in 2nd grade, my mom started leaving us on our own while she was working 3 jobs. Then we were placed into foster care.
Shortly after, their father would take custody of them, but would keep the welfare checks, supposed to be for caring for the children, for himself. So, with her brother, Shakyia stole money from their father until he caught them and sent them back into the foster care. Shakyia became rebellious and somehow ended up again with her mother. By this time, her mother had financial aid and a refrigerator full with food.
For the first time in my life, I was freely able to go and grab whatever I wanted. But outside of that, I didn't see too much of my mom. This is the time where food started becoming my comfort.
Shakyia would see the food more than she would see her mother. And by the time she was 11, she was also 200 pounds.
Shakyia's always been a little plus size, just like me. But when she was about 13, started noticing Shakyia being a little heavier than the norm. She just eats.
Shakyia was bullied at school because of her weight. She internalized the experience and would use food for comfort. She would also believe that no one loved her, and food became what filled that void that she had.
From there, some of the bullies started pushing me in the hallway and calling out other names. I never told anyone. I just kept it to myself. Eating the food filled the void, but what I really wanted was to have people to like me.
By the time she graduated from high school, Shakyia was almost 400 pounds, and in college she had the freedom to eat all the food that she wanted and added another 80 pounds in her first semester. She became depressed and dropped out of school. Shakyia would return home and she would start doing small jobs to get by. Then, when she was working in a gas station, she was
So I ended up leaving that job and working at a gas station. And that is where my life really took a turn for the worse. When I got I couldn't really move like I wanted to because of the that is when I really turned to eating more.
I just think that it broke her in more ways than one. She was trying to suppress it. And I think food was the thing for her, just to suppress the emotions from it.
Her was a traumatic incident. She just gave up on life. She was mobile before. She was able to function. She had a job for 3 years. She would go out, but after that, nothing. She was scared to go outside.
Shakyia decided to get help from Dr. Now. So, with the help of her sister Shaniqua and her friend Delilah, they drove to Houston from Charlotte, North Carolina. Shakyia was then sent home with Dr. No's program to lose weight, a goal to lose 50 pounds in the following 2 months, and therapy. At first, Shakyia sounded motivated and excited about the changes, but then she disappeared.
Sorry, I'm not able to come to the phone right now, but please leave a message. I'll get back to you shortly.
Hi, Shakyia, and this is Dr. Jordan. I haven't heard from you for a long time.
Shakyia would miss her next appointment with Dr. Now, and she would also not pick up the phone when he would try to reach her.
Shakyia never showed up for her follow-up appointment. Last time I saw her was back months ago, and I haven't heard from her since then. At this point, I don't know what's going on with her.
Eventually, he finally was able to reach her, and that's when she told him that she went into respiratory failure and was therefore put in hospice.
What happened?
They said that I had respiratory failure. When I woke up off the ventilator, I lost my ability to walk.
She will add that her mother kicked her out too because it became too much for her to care for Shakyia.
My mom was unable to take care of me, so she sent me to hospice. My mom kicked me out. I don't have a place to go.
There was a lot of things to unpack in this episode, and of everything that went on, less made sense. So let's back up. Shakyia's background story was among the saddest on the show. Her traumas started when she was still a toddler, not to make any diagnosis, but with neglect or even abandonment from her parents, the unstable parental relationship due to absent parents, the lack of bonding with the parents, and being in and out of the foster care system. There was plenty of room for Shakyia to develop abandonment issues and other mental problems. Childhood experiences play a pivotal role in shaping adulthood and influence how individuals perceive themselves, others, and the world. The formative years of childhood are critical for emotional, cognitive, and social development, which in turn impacts adult behavior, relationships, and worldview. The attachment theory states that early interactions with caregivers form the basis of attachment styles, which influence self-esteem and self-worth. Secure attachment, characterized by responsive and supportive parenting, typically leads to a positive self-image. Conversely, insecure attachment can result in low self-esteem and difficulties in trusting others. Shakyia lacked the presence of her parents in her life and from a tender age, and in her episode, we could see the consequences of the way she grew up. For instance, she lacked self-confidence and had to compensate for it by repeating every time that she can do Dr. Now's program, a way to reassure herself, give herself some positive reinforcements that she never got when growing up.
So, Shakyia, I'm gonna give you a 1,200 calorie a day diet, high protein, low carb. So, you think you can do that?
Yes, I'm determined already. I'm already going in this with an open mind, so, and an open heart, so.
You think you can do this, Kaya?
Yeah, I could do this.
You sure?
Yeah. If you give me another chance, I'll show you that I'm able to do it. I'm gonna do it and show you that I can lose the weight. It's just been such a hard year, I can't blame myself. So I'm gonna put all that behind me and work hard to show Dr. Now that I'm ready for this. I want to lose more and I know I can do it.
Shakyia's family was also dysfunctional from the get-go. Under the same roof, as an adult, she lived with her mother, her stepfather, her sister, and the sister's 3 children. This is problematic. The sister had 3 children and was apparently single. Were these children from the same father, or did they have different fathers? How young did the sister start having children? It is true that there are situations in which people deliberately choose to be single parents for various reasons and through various means, but people who make those sound decisions usually can take care of themselves and those children, and do without requiring external assistance. We did not see this with the sister and the children. Shakyia herself was still living with her mother and could not take care of herself. We don't know the relationship with the stepfather, but from the way Shakyia brushed past him when mentioning him to Dr. Now revealed a bit of the dynamic with him, and it was not a positive one.
So, who else is in the household with you?
It's my sister, my mom, my stepdad, and my nephews.
The mother herself had her own issues to unpack. She was working 3 jobs when Shakyia and her siblings were little and had to leave them alone when she went working. So she had no support system. Then she lost custody of the children for a while. That probably broke her. We don't know. But it had some effects on her. Which ones? We don't know. And there's the fact that with her being absent from the lives of her children while trying to support them also means she most likely never bonded with them. Let's not forget the trauma that Shakyia went through when she was. Pay attention to how Shakyia, talks about it and the way her family talks about it.
So I end up leaving that job and working at a gas station. And that is where my life really took a turn for the worse when I got.
I just think that it broke her in more ways than one. And I think food was the thing for her, just to suppress the emotions from it.
It was a traumatic incident. She just gave up on life. After that, nothing. She was scared to go outside.
Clearly, nothing was done to address the situation and ensure the safety and well-being of Shakyia. There is so much to unpack with this entire family. Please bear in mind that none of this is judgment, but rather stating some consequences of childhood and adult traumas. Childhood experiences also shape our relationships with others and the world. As we grow, we often tend to replicate relationship dynamics that we experience in our childhood, and this can occur consciously or subconsciously. Those who grew up in supportive environments are more likely to form healthy, supportive relationships. In contrast, those from dysfunctional families might struggle with relationship stability and trust. In the case of Shakyia, she did mention the type of crowds that she would hang out with, and that she started to have intimate relationships at age 13.
Eating the food filled the void, but what I really wanted was to have people to like me. I guess that's what led me up to being intimate when I was 13. I was around people that was doing those type of things. And
Shakyia was broken from an early age, and she coped with life the only way that she knew how. Some people turned to gambling, drugs, sex, etc. She turned to food. Dr. Now does not always get it right, and it is a good thing because it proves that he is a human being, and as such, he is bound to make mistakes. But in Shakyia's case, he referred her straight to therapy before he could work with her, and that was the right move. But Shakyia ended up making excuses for not going to therapy. It is true that she had her own issues, but this move that may have seemed little also reflected the position of Black communities on mental health. Though more and more Black individuals are open to the idea of therapy and mental health care, a big majority still regard mental health issues as the white man's disease that only affects white people. For this majority, therapy is for the weak, something that is still a taboo in those communities. So, it could explain to some extent why Shakyia dismissed therapy and why she never had it, even after she was talking about this, the way her family and her talked about it, so casually and with less care, just reflected the sad reality of how prevalent is in Black communities. So prevalent that those communities just got numb to it. When it happens, the victims are sometimes consoled with, "This is what being a woman is," or "Be glad they didn't kill you," and other nonsensical garbage that brushes off the victims and their feelings and let the perpetrators go free of any repercussions. And if the victims want justice, they're silenced and shamed into silence. Sometimes their own families ask them crappy questions like, "What would the world say of us?" worrying more about their reputation than the honor, reputation, safety, and well-being of the victims. Shakyia had all decks stacked against her. This is not making excuses for her. Because of her addiction and traumas, her brain is wired in a way that those who never went through what she did or something similar will never understand. She does need help, and at the stage she is at, only an intervention would do that, or at the extreme end of it, a strong willpower to go to a therapist. I don't know how willpower works, but I know that I have a strong one. I do remember the first time I walked into a therapist's office. That was after I had acknowledged that I had issues and needed help. I already knew and had accepted that I was broken, and therapy showed me how broken I was, Because I made that dreading first step, I learned that I am clinically depressive and have PTSD. And I have been given tools to live somehow in harmony in this world with those conditions. But this is not about me, but Shakyia. For Shakyia to start healing, Shakyia needs to accept that she needs help. Right now, she has not. She just knows that she does. It may sound confusing, but in terms of dealing with the problem, acceptance and knowing are not the same. Knowing is, I see it and I want it to get away, while accepting is, I see it, I want it to get away, and I will do everything in my power to make it get away. Shakyia is not there yet. Right now, she wants others to fix her issues for her.
So far, I'm not convinced that Shakyia is ready to change like she says. It is not likely much will change for her long term.
Even if Dr. Now were to admit her in his care in a controlled environment so she would lose weight, that would only be temporary and would not help her in the long run. She would lose weight, have the surgery, then once released, would get back into her current ways, then would stretch her stomach back. She would get back where she would have started. At the end of her episode, Shakyia's mother had kicked her out of the house, and Shakyia was now living in hospice and then a hotel. It seemed everyone who was there for her in the beginning bailed out on her at the end. Though that is a very sad and unfortunate situation, sometimes it is the best thing to do for addicts. Addicts' brains function differently, and they lie and manipulate. They don't see the damages they do to themselves and their loved ones, but sometimes to save yourself, you have to cut ties from them, else they'd become an anchor around your neck and you'd go down with them. We don't know what happened for her family bailing on her, but we do know that each one of them was also messed up with their own traumas, and each one should care for themselves before they can care for others. Love is patient, but sometimes it is selfish too. Train mean.